Alright guys, so today is a very important topic, the mindset, especially in the organic dropshipping space, because I haven't seen many people talk about this, but this is arguably the most important element to indicating whether you're going to succeed or not. And this coming from someone who's been playing this game for the past 2 years. And I'm going to tell you, the only reason I'm here today is because of the mindset, which I've developed over time. And let me take you guys back with me to the time where I first started, which was over 2023. And it took me a year and a half of me just testing all these pump and dump products because I think I spent 1 year prior to me taking my first action just scrolling on my For You page and thinking that I'm learning by watching all these gurus from 60-second videos telling me that it's easy. Now, at the time, that felt like the dream, right? However, although I've blown up 5 or 6 different products over this time frame, and by blown up I mean I went extremely viral to the point where my videos were shown on these tools which claim to show the competitor sales. Now they show that I've made 40-50 grand per month. I'm sorry to break it down to all of you guys. I made like maybe 1k from these products. So fast forward, after this time frame I decided to say screw this, let me do what I always wanted, to build a brand. Okay, so I chose a more high barrier of entry product which has way more longevity. Like it doesn't have as much risk to run it for a very long time because I know for a fact that it's a winner. Some people have been running it for a very long time. So I ran that product, and fast forward 1 year later, I can say that this was my first winner, and we have been growing, and I've learned a lot. Okay, the first thing which I'm gonna say is mindset is what kept me going until this day. If it wasn't for the mindset, I would have given up a very long time ago. So yeah, I just gave you this quick story to show you that with a lot of failures, it really just teaches you lessons. Like you take a lesson from every single product you test in the past and you fail with, and then you gather all these information, these experiences, and then you put them into your next product, and then you blow it up and you go viral, and then it makes all that time where you failed worth it because it developed you to reach this phase. Without any further ado, let's get into the mindset, the 5 elements which I think are the most important for you to succeed in organic dropshipping, because trust me, it's a mind game. So the first element to having the right mindset for you to succeed is the environment. And this is very typical. This is something which you hear in pretty much any field, whether you're studying, whether you're working, whether it's dropshipping. The environment is very important because I'm not talking about the literal environment. It could be both. So it's the physical and the digital, let's say. But I want to emphasize the physical one first because, like, let's say you've always been using your PC for gaming. You don't need to work there. Just change your environment to somewhere where your mind is not conditioned to think that you're about to spend or waste time here for dopamine. So even if it's like a different table in the room, you're gonna trick your mind that, okay, this is new. I've never spent time here before. So this way you could consciously decide what to do in this new environment. And apart from the physical environment, you could also focus on the digital one to help you find the people who can push you further. Obviously, you're gonna operate the best when you're surrounded by like-minded people. However, from experience, I'm telling you, physically, it's really hard to find people who are really good at organic dropshipping. Like, you might think online that everyone does organic dropshipping because it's the most talked about online business, but the people who actually stick to it and make money with it are like the 1%. For that reason, I would use the digital side of the world to my benefit to find like-minded people and surround yourself with, this group. So instead of surrounding yourself with the 5 people physically who are going to push you, you surround yourself with the 5 people digitally, whether it's on Discord, whether it's whatever, and talk about dropshipping every single day. Okay, preferably they should be better than you, or at least at the same level. This way you could, push yourself to their limit, or to their standard. So yeah, number one is checked. Apart from environment, this is something which I have started developing later in my journey. And I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the most important ones, because what this really means is being rational. So you don't want to be emotional, okay? You want to be rational. And what this really means is, trust me, this makes a lot of sense for organic dropshipping, because there's often times where I've picked a product to test based on emotion. I was like, okay, this is something I would buy. This is something I like, so probably anyone else would buy. But this is where emotion shouldn't take place, especially in product selection. Or even when you start testing a product, you might create this emotion to this product that, you know, you spent a month or two on it. You don't want to let go. You don't want to test the next product. So you keep on pushing and wasting more time. So instead, you want to be rational and base it on facts. So I've spoken about this in previous videos. There's multiple ways to see whether a product is a winner or not. The first one is make sure it's flexible so that you could market it in different niches. So it doesn't need to be a custom product, but a product with infinite marketing angles. The best example on top of my head is the projector, which you can play like a TV in your room. You could use it as a background while you're reading. You could use it for gaming, for whatever you want. So in my opinion, you should go for these sort of products, especially when you're making a branded organic dropshipping store, which I preach for. And this is just one way of figuring out whether it's a winning product or not. And then obviously you could test order or check whether there's brands which have been established for this product. Because 9 out of 10 times, if you see like a big brand which has been created out of a certain product, it means they've made money. Let's be real. So this is another like rational or logical way of knowing whether it's a winning product or not. Now, the technical definition of low detachment is having a logical sequence of an equation. So it starts with if something happens, then this will be the outcome. With this logical mind frame, you could say that if I keep on testing products, then I will find a winner, right? But at the same time, it detaches you from the outcome, which is arguably the most important one. Even though you're posting on a daily basis and you're not seeing an outcome, a result, you're detached from this. You don't have an emotion towards it. Now, here's the tricky part. For law of detachment to work, you need to make sure that you are in the right vehicle. You're doing the right thing. And this is why it's really important to either have a mentor, a friend, a group, a community of dropshippers who are keeping you accountable, okay? Because let's say you are detached from the outcome and you're putting in the work, but then at the end you're working towards the wrong product, or you're overspending time on one product which has no future, like it's not going to be a brandable product. In that case, although you're doing the right thing, you are doing it with a low ROI. So you want to make sure you're following this rule with a high ROI product, which in most cases is a brandable product. I'll extend on this point. So let's say you have posted for a week, and then you've been posting twice a day. This is your Instagram feed. And then let's say you started here with 0 views. Here it was 1K. Here it was 10K. Here it was 1K. Okay? Let's talk rationally here, logically. These videos here, which got 10K, perform better than this. So for that reason, you should logically think that these videos are the best. So you should work on recreating these videos and making better versions of them, split testing them, so that next time you post is going to get 100K views, for example. So the detachment of outcome means that you're not going to cry about that 0 views, about the 1K views, but instead you're going to put in the work every day and then analyze your work logically and then see the analytics, what performed better, and then double down on what works. Okay, this is how it makes sense to our field. Apart from the products which I told you about, you shouldn't be attached to your products. Instead, focus on what works. And there's a lot of products which for beginners you'd see and then you'd be like, this would never sell, but then it's actually making people like 10k a month, 100k a month, whatever. So I know I went too far with this point, but this is by far like one of the most important mind frames you should have towards any sort of business, honestly. But the reason why it's more important for organic dropshipping is because our game requires patience and a lot of faith that we will do it at the end. So mastering this will make sure that you're gonna win at the end, okay? Okay, thirdly, another really important factor, which is faith. And some people mistaken this for delusion. They would look at you as a delusional person because of how much you believe in yourself that you're gonna do it. And the funny part is, since like I've been listening, whether I'm going to the gym or any sort of like low ROI activity, I would listen to these speeches. And since like the 1900s, people have been talking about this one factor. Now obviously believing in something, believing in God is gonna be really important, but also you need to believe in yourself. This is what people even mistaken for ego or self-esteem. And this goes hand by hand with law of detachment, because imagine how powerful you're gonna be if you eliminate any distractions from your environment, you maximize the elements which gives you the most frequency, such as sunlight, training, and just eating healthier, okay, food. These elements, along with being rational about your business, and then being faithful, you believe in yourself, you believe in the universe, in God, that at the end it's gonna work, right? But this has to go hand in hand with more work. You need to put in more work while having the faith to fuel the work that in the end is gonna work out. So obviously there's multiple elements which can be done to increase these frequencies, such as having daily sunlight, training, having healthy food, all this sort of stuff. All right, moving on to the final point, which is having an obsession with what you do. And the reason why this is so important is because if you don't love what you do, and I don't mean like love as you do what you're passionate about. I mean like you pick something based on mastery, aka something that you're good at or you want to be the best at, and then you have the obsession of becoming the best. You're going to put in whatever it takes, day in and day out, to be the best and outcompete every single person in the space. You need to actually put in every waking hour into work. This sounds like very boring or very lifeless, but honestly, I've created systems where if I'm not doing something that's gonna bring me back something in return, I'm not gonna do it. Like, it's very rare for me to go out. I go out maybe on the weekends, maybe once, every 2 weekends, once. I'm just saying, you need to be obsessed with the process. You need to put in the work that is required for you to become the best. You gotta look at it as a PvP game. Like, you are versus millions of people who are trying to start dropshipping. So obviously you're gonna have to be obsessed with your craft. In our context, in dropshipping, this means you need to create content on a daily basis. Edit whenever you are free. Let's say you're waiting in the bus or whatever. You're gonna have to edit, my friend. And then finding products on your burn account. Like, these are just basic things which you could be doing, but these are like literally the 3 core elements to being really good at dropshipping. you need to create content, edit content, and obviously post, and then finding new products, or which I've explained earlier in other videos, ideas. Because when you're going through your burn account, you're also looking for ideas. What's going viral for other people in different niches. Maybe you can take an idea to your niche. So, yeah, you need to have this sort of obsession that whenever you find 10 minutes, 20 minutes of free time, instead of just scrolling, just like the 99%, instead you would have to do something productive, which is scrolling to find products or ideas on your burn account, or editing. Or if you're at home, you could create new content. So this is what I mean by obsession. You need to honestly have like a phone addiction. I mean, at the end of the day, the phone's paying you. So it's different from wasting your time. So yeah, this was more of a longer video, but trust me, these 4 elements are really important. This is what made me, honestly, become a better version of myself. And this is by far one of the most important one. I'm working on this even till this day. If you focus with me since the start, you might have to rewatch this part because this is super important. There's multiple times where I was spending more time than I needed on a certain product because I was emotionally attached to the product while there were no outcomes, not from me and not from my competition. Maybe just one person was doing well. Run products which are already winning. Usually they're saturated, so run saturated products, it's fine. But then find products which are custom in terms of marketing, or custom literally from the supplier, and then run them, create a brand, and have the faith that it's going to work in the end. So keep on working day in and day out, be obsessed with the process, and the environment is going to obviously, I think this is more like the motivator to these elements, because having a good environment is actually going to make it easier for you to work and to focus. And having these 5 people you're surrounded with, digitally at least, is gonna keep you in the right mindset. It's gonna keep you accountable, and that you don't feel like you're doing something different because you know there's other people doing the exact same thing as you, and they're seeing results. Now, obviously, there's many other things, but if I were to talk about them, it might take another hour, such as having an iron will, as you might have heard somewhere else. That is super important as well. You need to motivate yourself by saying things you don't want to do, but you say them, so now you have to do them. Today I would say, okay, I need to do 2 photo shoots for my product, and then I have to post 3 times or 4 times. The moment I say it, I have to do it. So this is another factor here. So yeah, these are by far the most important elements to having the right mindset to succeeding in dropshipping.